Section 2.1, that's chapter 2, the first section, working with inequalities. So we're going to be writing some inequalities, and the easiest way to do it is if you read it from left to right. Now, if you have one where your variable is on the right, you can switch it, and I can show you how to do those. But the easiest way, and most people prefer, when you read from left to right, kind of like, you know, you read a book from left to right. So if your first language is not English, that may not be as comfortable to you, but most people prefer that. One of the inequality symbols looks like this. What's that one called? Less than. Okay, this is what we consider open. And so if you're going to graph it on a number line, so the number line looks like the little chart up above my whiteboard over there, you would have an open circle and you would shade to the left. Versus if you have less than or equal to, you're still going to shade to the left, but instead of drawing an open circle, what do? You fill it in. You do what's called closing it. The next two symbols are going to cause you to shade to the right. So if you have greater than, it's open and shaded to the right. And if you have greater than or equal to, it's closed and to the right. All right, hopefully most of you already knew those. If you don't, then I would say memorize them because it's pretty kind of easy. All right, so we're just going to talk about the basic transformations in algebra. So sometimes they're called transformations. Sometimes they're referred to as inverse operations. And so it's like the 4 basic operations that you see on your calculator, right? You're going to see add, subtract, multiply, and divide. So the inverse operations are just the opposite. So the inverse operation of addition is subtraction, and the inverse operation of subtraction is addition, and then the inverse operation of multiplication is division, and the inverse operation of division is multiplication. Some people just put a little dot. If you can just put a little dot, that's fine. So you're going to solve inequalities just almost like there's an equal sign there. The only thing you need to know special is with these two. So when you multiply or divide, because they're inverse operations of each other, right, by a negative number, something has to happen. Your inequality has to do what? Flip, or what I'm going to call reverse the inequality. Only if it's negative, okay? If it's positive, bless you, leave it alone, okay? So I've got 2 examples for you. Example number 1. Do I need to move it up? Yes, okay. 5x plus 17 is less than 2. Okay, so you're going to treat it like there's an equal sign there. Do your inverse operations till you get the x by itself. And so we have 2 operations happening, right? That x is being multiplied by 5 and 17 is being added. So should I subtract the 17 first or divide by the 5 first? Subtract the 17 first. It's going to make your life a little easier. There is a way to divide by 5 first, but you would end up with some fractions and stuff. Okay, so 17 and negative 17 opposites. Those are going to cancel, leaving you with 5x on the left of the less than. And 2 minus 17 is negative 15. Now, just because you're seeing a negative sign over here doesn't mean you need to reverse the inequality. You only reverse the inequality if you're multiplying or dividing by a negative number, right? So what are we dividing by here? 5. Positive or negative? Positive. So do I reverse the inequality? No. Okay. Divide both sides by 5. We get x less than negative 3. And so let's graph that. So right here I'm going to draw just a short little number line. And if I need to graph negative 3, I'm going to put my 0 just slightly to the right. Okay? I'm going to put my 0 over here because I need to get to negative 3. So you can kind of shift it left or right depending on what number you have. And if it's a larger number, you don't necessarily need to go by 1s. You could go by 5s or 2s or 10s, just depending on how big your number is. Okay, so I'm going to go by 1. So I'm going to have negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, and so on like that. Now, I look at this symbol. Am I going to have an open or closed circle? Open on negative 3. And then it's less than, so should I shade left or right? Left. Some people like to go up and go like this. You can do that. I like to just shade right on the number line and then fill in the arrow. Either way, I'm okay with. All right. Any questions on example number 1? Okay, perfect. Example number 2. All right, example number 2, we're going to end up with variables on both sides, and we've got a distributive property. So this one's got a little bit more going on. All right. Example number 1 kind of eases into it. Example number 2, let's start with the distributive. So 5 times 3 is 15. 5 times negative t is 5t, negative 5t. Okay. With inequalities, I'm going to recommend that you keep your variable on the left. It's just easier to read inequalities from left to right. Can you do it the other way? Yes. But you just need to be careful with that inequality symbol. Okay? So I'm going to add t to both sides. 1t. Normally I do this all in one step, but I'm going to separate it into 2 steps. So I'm going to have 15 minus 4t less than 7. The next step, I'm going to subtract the 15. These cancel, leaving us with negative 4t less than 7 minus 15. What is that? Negative 8. Okay. Now here's the big moment, right? That t is being multiplied by negative 4, so we have to divide by negative 4. This is the step where when you multiply or divide by a negative number, you want to take that inequality and flip it around. So instead of being less than, it's going to be greater than. These cancel, and we have t on the left. So t is greater than what? 2, positive 2. Let's graph that. So if all the action is happening at positive 2, how should I shift my 0? How about a little to the left? Because now I want to focus on positive numbers. So I'm going to put my 0 over here. Okay. Open or closed? Open on positive 2. Greater than, so shaded to the right. And fill it in.